Hello. Welcome to our LinkedIn Live conversation about SMS marketing campaigns and creating campaigns that convert. We're going to just wait a few seconds here to allow people to assemble. A couple housekeeping items. We do have people in the chat, so if you have any questions, comments, just go ahead and add it to the chat. If you're an old hand at SMS marketing campaigns, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. If you're new to it, we can start a conversation. We've got a couple people in there, and we also have we'll have time for questions at the end. Welcome. So I am Kathleen Urbanik. I'm the head of marketing for Whisper, and we're here today with David.
Hey. Hello.
David Gilbert. So you're a dinosaur?
Oh, yeah. So, before I came to the US, I'm from the UK originally, and Halloween was never a big celebration. So I never understood. I came to the US and I was like, why is everyone getting so excited about Halloween? And of course, I married an American. I have American children. And then I think I flipped all the way over to the other side. So now I'm insane when it comes to Halloween. So now it's my favorite time of the year. We do some crazy things, and this is one of my favorite costumes. I have a garage full of all sorts of stuff, and this is one of my favorites. That's my 12-year-old pretend to be T-Rex and nearly gave my wife a heart attack. So yeah, that was that was a fun year.
I love it. I love it. Actually, Halloween is my favorite holiday. So that is
There you
fantastic.
go.
So why
I've
did
converted. I've converted.
and it's garage, not that's
Yeah, there you
all right.
go. I'll
So
do my best.
so just why did you pick that photo?
It just because it's hilarious. I mean, it makes me smile. It makes me laugh every time, and nothing better than a nice smile on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, that's why I chose it. It never ceases to make me smile.
Happy Friday, and that's actually a good example of engaging people with something that's interesting and a little bit different, I would say. So let's start talking a little bit about engaging people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think when we talk about SMS marketing or any kind of marketing, right? I mean, Whisper is ultimately a communication company. And so our aim is to make sure that your message gets consumed by the end user. And so our North Star is always engagement, always has been, always will be. And how do we as a company make sure that your message gets consumed by the person that you're trying to get it to? And so, that's the key for us no matter where we go into. And we talk about SMS marketing, it's important that everybody has an objective of a success criteria prior to going in. So we're always very clear with our clients. What is success to you? How do we get there? What is conversion to you? What is ROI to you? And make sure that we can help them get to that goal.
Super. So we'll talk a little bit more about channels, and but
Yeah.
we'll move on a little bit and talk about SMS marketing itself. And as we mentioned at the top here, if you're already doing SMS marketing, we'll have some tips for you. And if you haven't done any SMS marketing, it's a pretty critical channel. So we'll talk a little bit more about best practices. I'm just going to throw up some numbers here. If you haven't seen any data, basically you're going to be meeting your customers where they are. They're on the phone, they're mobile. So here's some fantastic information in the U.S. About some insights we have here. Um, in particular, what was it that I read? Like 98% open rates, average of 90-second response time, incredible engagement. But is that the only channel you should be using? That's sort of a question we can tackle here. But ultimately, this is a channel that you should be using. So as a marketer, when I'm looking at channels, I'm going to look at a few different things. One is how expensive is it, right? I'm going to look at driving demand, driving growth. Um, I'm going to be looking at loyalty, creating loyalty with customers, engaging with customers. I'm going to be looking at individualization or personalization, and you can do all those things in this channel, and it's very cost effective. So, did you have anything to add about some of these things? Is this something that resonates with our customers, David?
Yeah, for sure. We are, we have clients that range everywhere from very sophisticated SMS marketers that have been doing it for many years and sending out hundreds of thousands of messages a day. And then we have some clients that have never done it before at all, and are very, very wary to do it, concerned about it, worried that it's very complex, very expensive, not sure what to do. And so there's a broad spectrum of those folks that come to us. And again, it can be intimidating when you think uh, when you think about um, how to engage with with SMS, because there are a lot of regulations and requirements. But that's what we're here for as well. I think the key differentiator that we bring as Whisper to the table is making sure we hold your hand through that process. There's, in any SMS marketing, you've got to go through best practices, CTIA. You've got to be aware of TCPA and other things. And again, we can take you through that and hold your hand through that as well.
So, and actually, that's a great. These are some actionable best practices. So we're very practical at Whisper. We want to ensure that you're growing your revenue. We are very results oriented, and so we're going to skip over and talk about some of these best practices. One of them is use SMS marketing as a channel, and
Yeah.
the other is don't forego other channels. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about these. So,
Yeah.
David, so what, if someone has never done any SMS marketing, how would you suggest they start?
Yeah, I think the key is, starting with what's the objective, right? So what are you looking to try and do? So that could be um, an ROI, it could be an engagement level. You got to be clear about what it is that you're looking to try and do. I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is making sure that you work with us to get the right, like I mentioned earlier, the right kind of compliance. So do you have the right opt-ins available to your distribution list? That's critical. So we'll make sure that we navigate you through that, and then we'll get you through use case verification. And then you'll be ready to go. The key, so from a technical compliance perspective, that's important. We can put that to the side. In terms of best practices of how to send and kind of when to send, it's key that you personalize the message. There's been a lot of information in the media recently about how there's scams done through SMS, and people need to be careful. It's very important that you identify yourself as a known brand to your end customer, and you identify that customer's name as well within that message. So there's a level of trust that's established. So personalization is key to get engagement, and then sending that message at the right time. There are very strict rules, and also it relates to engagement as well, around when you should be sending a message. And again, with the Whisper platform, you can schedule that as and when you need to be able to do that. In addition, what I would say is when you think about layers of engagement, you think about sending it at the right time, you think about sending it where it's personalized. The other thing is that's mentioned here is creating this two-way conversation. So we tend to see much higher levels of engagement when that message has a call to action. And so what we do at Whisper is we create something called a rich message, which is basically a mobile landing page where somebody can actually, it would appear through SMS that they're going to a website and filling out a form. Maybe they're responding to a survey, maybe they're giving an opinion, maybe they're responding to a request to attend an event. And that level of engagement in a graphical format, with the branding of the customers, the branding of the client's viewpoint, makes it really, really effective. So I think those are the key things that we see as we start to increase levels of engagement using that.
Oh, let me just ask you a quick question because as people are jumping in here and learning more about best practices. Uh,
Yeah,
yes, sounds like it's the compliance issue is very complex, and so that's something to really consider. Um, making sure that you're really engaging with the right people at the right time is important. So being able to segment your audience, create lists of folks. Um, Tell me a little
yeah.
bit more about this engagement, and what have you seen that's worked with
Yeah, I mean,
customers?
Yeah, I think you mentioned segmentation there, which is also key. We have a large client, LMNO, who actually do lottery campaigns. And what they do is they segment those lottery campaigns in different regions, and they use some technology called workspaces with inside Whisper. Which, if you think about that, it's just like a digital folder. It gives you the capability to be able to basically isolate particular things and organize it really within the Whisper platform. So there'll be particular regions where they use workspaces, and so there's clarity around who that message should be sent to, because oftentimes a lot of our clients are sending messages related to either different products, different regions, or maybe there's an express, you've expressed an interest in a particular product, I've expressed an interest in a different product. It's very important that you can create a distribution list that's relevant to that. So using workspaces to do that is key, and making sure that that message that you get sent is relevant. If I'm interested in a MacBook Air, I certainly don't want to be getting messages about a lawnmower, right? So it's really important that you can do that. And again, the Whistle platform allows that. The other key point as well, I think, which we haven't touched on, is reporting, where a lot of our clients are asking us, well, how can I tell, if I'm getting the engagement? Well, we're able to report out on, obviously, when a message is delivered. We're able to report on when somebody engages with that message. So you can see, how many folks are doing that, as well as the time it takes between message send and that engagement. So you're able to see that through the reporting mechanisms as well. And then it's important not just to give you an insight into ROI, but it's important as well for audit purposes. Again, I'll go back to the lottery campaign example. It's very important that there's a lot of regulation around lottery, and as you can imagine, each state has its own requirements, and so it's very important that there's an audit trail of every message that was sent, every message that was interacted with, and if somebody did decide to opt out, then it's very important that that individual is never contacted again. And again, with automated opt-outs within the Whisper platform, you can make sure that if Kathleen says, "Hey, stop," then immediately the Whisper platform is updated of that, and so we'll make sure that that never a communication never goes to them again. So all these things are really key to be able to make sure that you're compliant.
What it makes me think is that, so as you're promoting your product, let's say you have some customers that they're customers, you want to upsell them or send them another promotion. You could do this easily, and you can track customers well as prospects, and reach them. That data part, that is what makes a marketer smile, because it is a waste of money and time to talk with people in a way where you either don't know or can't engage with them. And really, the concern nowadays, and something that we take seriously at Whisper, is ensuring that we're not spamming people. We're developing trust and loyalty and engagement with our customers by having them opt in, that we make it very easy. And that's something that if you're looking at SMS marketing, you really need to consider, is to ensure that you're compliant and you're just not creating a bad relationship with your prospects and your customers. And this two-way engagement is fantastic. So that is also that, creating the engagement, having people actually engage with your message, and use several channels, not just SMS, for that engagement. It sounds
I think
fantastic. Yeah.
And I think one thing I'd add as well is speed, right? So one key thing that our clients ask us about is, well, we have a push either for a product, or in the case of nonprofits, there's an event coming up. We want to quickly be able to send out a message to be able to do that. And Best Buddies is a good example where if you don't have a huge IT infrastructure backbone, or you don't have IT folks hanging around, the point is you're able to use the platform very easily and curate a message in a matter of 5-10 minutes, and be able to get that message out to hundreds, thousands of people with one click. And so that's really important as well, because the speed at which things change, maybe one product was hot yesterday, another product's hot today. Maybe you want to put an extra push for that fundraising, for that, you're at 50,000, you want to get to 55,000 because then there's a match, you want to give a quick push. You can easily go into the platform and quickly curate that message and get it out. So that's, and without being an IT expert at all. So that speed component is key as well. Just being able to do that very, very quickly.
Okay. So it sounds like we've hit all of these best practices areas, but I'm wondering if So you kind of hit on that a little bit with Best Buddies. So Whisper works with companies of many different sizes,
Yeah, yeah,
sizes.
and I would say like
Yeah.
yeah, and I would add that the larger SMS marketers out there, I mean, we talked a little bit about the smaller ones and really overcoming. Listen, this does not cost a lot of money. Our pricing page is available to anyone to get started. It's really a low bar, and you can test the waters. And I would say for the more sophisticated users of SMS, where they're sending hundreds of thousands a day, with the changes over the last 12 months, we've had more and more clients coming to us asking for our help. We had a recent, we have a very large client that sends out uh, up three, four, five, upwards of 700,000 messages a day, and they were really struggling with deliverability because of the changes in the telco environment. And of course, when you're sending that many, you are at some point there are going to be issues. There's no doubt the telcos are going to stop something for whatever reason. They don't like a particular message. Something will happen. The question is, how quickly can you react to that? And again, with the work that we do around analyzing why messages have been stopped, what happened with this particular client is they had deliverability at consistently 85% plus. It went down to 50%, and within a day, we were able to get it back up to 85% because we analyzed the messages and realized there was a particular component in the message that the telco carriers didn't like. We were able to remove that and then keep the campaign moving very quickly. So, again, that's the kind of value that we bring to the table. We don't just set it and forget it. We don't just leave you, hey, well, if your message didn't get through, oh well, never mind. I mean, we're very, very vested in making sure you're successful. We want you to continue to work with us and come back to us.
Secure, compliance, all those things are critical, but how much does it cost? Like, it sounds like, tell me about if you're a smaller business. I mean, sounds like this is
Yeah,
very
yeah,
scalable.
it's small. I mean, yeah, a smaller business. I mean, our packages, would start at, we can go from $30 a month to very small, up to most of our clients of small business would use the 149 a month, and then SMS charges will charge you 3 cents in SMS, and that will obviously go down significantly if your volumes are much much bigger than that. And that's an all-in price, including the carrier fees. Because sometimes you have to be careful with other providers; they'll give you a net cost, not a gross cost. So just again, be careful with that when you're getting quotes on per SMS messaging. Make sure that it includes carrier fees as well, because there is an element of the carrier fees included on that also. We like to give an all-in cost to that. And again, the rich messaging that we deliver, we don't charge for that. So you get that web like experience. The client gets that web like experience where they can go to a landing page and fill out a very rich form, and that's completely free to our clients. So you don't get charged any more than that SMS send for that experience.
Fantastic. Let's so this is what we've been talking about. We have this platform, of course, that you can use on many platform, many channels, and SMS marketing, which is fantastic for integrated campaigns and personalized campaigns and retargeting folks that have come. Um, I just want to talk a little bit about this. So we've had a fairly brief conversation here about SMS marketing and best practices. I think there've been
Yep.
some great tips, some fantastic practices, and there's a little bit of complexity here, but Whisper makes it very, very easy. You can sit down and talk with somebody. We can, hold your hand, um, and we're
Yeah,
actually experts in this particular field. Next
yeah,
week, yeah,
yeah, and I'll just add that. Sorry, Kathleen. I mean, in this chart here, I mean, this conversation is about SMS marketing, right? Obviously, but it is important to note that you really do ultimately what you want is a multi-channel, omni-channel approach. So you obviously, SMS has the highest engagement for sure. I mean, that's clear, highest open rates, etc. But that's not to say that you shouldn't have an approach that covers all of those channels: email, social, voice, as it says here. And again, Whisper provides you with one platform to do that. So I would also caution folks, if they do want to do an SMS marketing campaign, if they went with a pure SMS provider, then they're going to have to go with an email. We've had instances where we've had clients come to us and say, listen, I've got an SMS provider over here, I've got an email provider over there, I've got a social provider over here, and I've got contact list issues, I've got coordination challenges, and all these kind of things. And so being able to bring it in one platform within Whisper is a big advantage as well, because there are people that do still like to receive communications through email, through voice. And so you want to be able to give that individual the communication that they want through their preferred channel. You might not know that yet. Hopefully you'll get to know it, so then you can just isolate that. But in the beginning, you do want to make sure that you're engaging each channel.
Super engaging people where they are. Um, so let's just talk a little bit about next week.
Yeah.
We're going to have a. Why don't you talk a little bit about this deep
Yeah, we're
dive?
gonna have yeah, we're gonna have a client come on Best Buddies International. If you haven't heard of Best Buddies, a fantastic organization, global, a huge presence, and they do some fantastic work. So they're going to come on and talk about. They're a good example of they hadn't actually ever used SMS marketing in their fundraising campaigns, and this is an example where they actually started to use it with us. And as they became more confident, they rolled it out further and further, and saw an amazing improvement in fundraising as a result of that. So they're going to come on and give their perspective on using Whisper and using SMS and what it meant to them. So it'll be a great conversation. Also learn a lot about about how they work and how they operate.
Fantastic. So I don't know if there's any questions that we can answer today. Um, One of the questions I know that came in earlier was what you just addressed was, how do I get started? One was, how does Whisper, you know, I'm looking at a bunch of different SMS marketing tools. How is Whisper different? And you kind of hit on that. I don't know if you have any additional comments there. And then the third question that I just had was, does this require extra staff?
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of SMS providers out there. Again, go check them out. I would encourage you, make sure that you have one that's multi-channel for the reasons that we talked about. And I would make sure that you understand very clearly the cost structure. We're very transparent with our pricing. Just make sure that you do that due diligence on your end, and make sure you've got that. And the last question again, Kathleen, sorry, I forgot you mentioned one last one.
Was Do you need staff?
Oh, staff. Yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, that's the whole point about what we've done here is it's drag and drop. It is you'll need somebody obviously nominated, to use the platform, but we'll take you through training. We'll set up your first message delivery, and after that, honestly, I mean, it's very straightforward to use. So certainly no incremental staff required to be able to do it.
Fantastic. I'm going to
All right.
back up one slide here. So the link to this next conversation deep dive is in the chat. It's also available on our site, whisper.com. And this was sort of our initial conversation about SMS marketing. Look for more of these to come your way. This was sort of our first actionable short LinkedIn Live presentation. David's going to go in deep with Best Buddies next week, and they have seen 30% increase in revenue year over year, 31% increase in conversion rate with SMS marketing. So they've seen a lot of success. I'm sure most people can learn from. So any parting comments, David?
No, just have a great Friday. Um, if you're down in the dumps, take a look at a picture that makes you smile, and have a great weekend. And I hope you can join us next week. So thanks, Kathleen, and thanks to everyone for joining.
Happy Friday, everybody.